Welcome, my name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury makeup and Fude brushes. Today we're talking about the Sonia LOTUS set, and this is still available on Beautylish. So if you're interested in picking this up, it is available. It's $215 for the set. It is a limited edition set, and the brushes are not sold individually, and there are currently no plans to sell them individually. So if you want it, you have to buy the whole set. There are 6 brushes in the set, and we have a mixture of fibers. So let's take a look at these. First brush here is the base brush, and this has the same bristles as the brushes in the Fusion series. So that is a mix of synthetic and undyed goat hair. So it is ideal for cream and liquid products. So it's very soft, and it actually is slightly more dense than any of the brushes in the Fusion set, partly because of the way this ferrule is rounded here. It makes this distance very short, which helps increase the essentially how the bristles work. You know, there's gonna be a little bit less movement here, and it feels more dense. On the sides, you can see that the bristles are going to be a little bit longer outside of the ferrule, so they've got more flex and give, so you can really blend things out with that. So this brush is designed to be used with foundation. It can also be used with cream and liquid or dry products for, you know, sculpting. You can use it for blush, you can use it for highlight, you can use it for contour, you can use it for bronzer, you can use it foundation. And I think it is a very, very nice brush for that. So real quickly, just a few comparisons. I don't have anything quite like this in my collection, but this is the Suku foundation brush that came out like a year ago. And you can see that this is tapered here to here. And this Sonia G brush, it's a little bit hard to tell, I think, in the photos, but it's actually tapered as well. So this is tapered on both sides, whereas the Suku is just tapered this direction. But you can see that it actually got the shortest hairs about here, and they go up. So we have more of a point here at the tip. So that's gonna happen on both ends, both sides. So it comes to a point in the center. So this brush, though, you can see has a lot more flex and give. It is a synthetic brush. These bristles are longer, so it's not going to be quite as dense. Another brush that reminded me more of this is the Chanel Sublimage foundation brush. So this is a brush that comes with the new Sublimage Lessons de Teint foundation. You cannot buy this brush separately. It is synthetic, but you can see that it has this like pyramidal shape. And, you know, I think both of these work very well underneath the eyes and being able to get in smaller places. And the density on these brushes is fairly similar. So this is actually, although the shape is very different, it's my most similar brush in performance. And next up, we have the detail brush. And you can see that this is an angled cheek brush. Size-wise, you can see that there's a little bit of a similarity between the mini cheek and the detail brush. Okay, obviously this is not angled, but you can see that the hair length is about the same. These also have the same fibers, so it's a mix of dyed and undyed goat hair here. And you can see the tapered fibers, the longer hairs here are actually going to be taller than that in the Detail Pro. And it's pretty similar. I think the detail is going to be, it's a little bit wider. It's a little bit bigger, but it's close. Now, I don't have anything quite like this either, but my closest is going to be this. This is the Surratt, the angled cheek brush from Surratt. I forget exactly what they call it. You can see the Surratt has a shorter handle. It's a bigger brush head overall, but you can see that the shape is going to be very, very similar. Now, this detail brush in the LOTUS set, it's very versatile because it is slightly smaller. So you can use this for blush, you can use it for highlight, you can use it for bronzer, you can use it for contour. You can also use it to put powder underneath your eyes or brush away fallout. So we will look at that in a demo. I do have a demo using all of these brushes so you can see them in action. And yeah, so I would have to say this is my closest. I also have this one here, the FO4 from Chikuhodo. Just to show you like the shape, you can see that this one's going to be more rounded, like at the tip it gets more rounded here, whereas this is going to be straighter. This is also a lot larger. So definitely shape-wise, I think the shape is almost identical. The angle and everything is almost identical in the Surratt angled cheek brush, but it's just, you know, much, much larger. Moving on to the cheek brush in the Lotus set. And this brush is actually a repeat. It is the same brush as the Cheek Pro, but it's undyed goat hair instead of dyed goat hair. And I am totally okay with that because I love the Cheek Pro brush for applying blush. And using the undyed goat hair means that I can now use it with creams and liquids as well. I have to say that this is incredibly soft. The undyed goat hair that I got in this set feels a little bit softer than some of the undyed goat hair in the others. It is the same grade and quality level. It's, you know, undyed Psycho goat hair, but it does feel slightly softer to me than some of my other undyed goat hair brushes from Sonia G. So I don't know, maybe it was just a lucky goat, but yeah, it's very soft. And this is not gonna, you know, this will work well with creams and liquids for like a softer buff. I actually used it with a powder in the demo. But if you have something that's kind of like a thicker, creamy consistency that you really need to buff out, this is going to be too loose for that. You can see the amount of flex and give here. So there's just, it's going to be a little bit softer for that. So this will work well for liquids, creams, and powders. And if you have, you know, like oily skin or whatever, and you've been worried about using dyed goat hair, this is a great one to get for that as well. So really nice brush, really like this. I'm happy it was included in the set. And moving on, we have the worker brush from Sonia G in the Lotus set. And this is not a unique brush either. So this is actually going to be the same brush as the Worker 2 in the, this was from the Fundamental set maybe, or maybe it was just one of the ones on its own actually, never mind. But it is in the permanent collection. The brush heads are the same technically. You can see that there are slight variations between the two. That is because obviously they are different batches separated by years. And I believe, I'm not positive, but I think there may be like some different sourcing now than before. I mean, I bought this one years ago. So you can see that they are essentially going to be the same. This is a really great brush. Let me just show you what it looks like compared to my favorite, the Soft Shader from Sonia G, which you can see is a little bit smaller and it's rounder. So shorter bristles, smaller all around. And just a few others. This one here is the Worker 3, which again is also going to be a little bit smaller. And this one here is the Worker 1, which is a little bit wider and slightly shorter, but also a very similar shape. Now, since this is undyed goat hair, you can use this with liquids, creams, powders, whatever you want. It's a very great versatile brush. It's, again, it's very soft. You know, I have to say, these feel a little bit softer than usual to me. But this is fluffy enough that you can use this in the crease. You can use it for like one and done shades and so forth. It's a really great brush. I mean, it is something you could even use for concealer and so forth as well. Next, we have the Builder brush in the Lotus set. Again, another one that is a repeat, but this time it's a repeat of the Builder 3, which was done with dyed goat hair, and now it's in undyed goat hair. I apologize, mine is dirty. I did use it in the demo, but this is going to be the same shape and everything, same dimensions, size, all of that is going to be the same. The difference is that this is going to be undyed goat versus dyed goat hair. And although technically the dimensions are the same, it does feel like it is slightly thinner, like the ferrules pinch slightly more than in my Builder 3. But again, it's a minuscule difference and it could just be a batch issue. So this brush is great for, you know, if you're working, again, you can use liquids, creams, powders, but you can see there's not as much flex or give with this. So it's really great for shadows that are prone to fallout any sort of metallics and shimmers. You can pat them on, you can lay them out. It's not fluffy, so you're not gonna have things, you know, kind of flying everywhere. It gives you a more controlled application with some of those looser products, if that makes sense. And the last brush is a unique brush to this series. This is the Soft Definer. And at first glance, I thought it seemed very much like the Mini Booster, but you can see when you put these next to each other that they really are not alike. The Mini Booster is larger, and the Mini Booster starts tapering here. So you have a little point. This one is a little bit more of a gradual taper, and everything, it's a little bit denser. It's also, you can see the fibers are a little bit shorter. So you have more control with this one. This one's gonna be a little bit fluffier than the Soft Definer. So the Soft Definer is actually really great for getting in the inner corner, lining underneath the eyes, doing any sort of detailed crease work, anything that you want to pinpoint. This is dyed goat hair, so you don't want to use this with liquids and creams, but it has enough of enough firmness to it that you can use it to softly brush out like eyeliner and things like that as well. You know, technically if you're using a really creamy eyeliner, it's probably not recommended, but I do it personally. So yeah, this is a great brush, and that's my primary use for this. And another one I wanted to compare it to is the Rephr 26, which has essentially the same function for me. But you can see that the 26 is going to be a larger brush, but the density of it, the amount of flex, and the actual size of the taper at the top is very similar. So they perform pretty similarly for me on the eyes. So I hope those comparisons were helpful. And now we're going to move on to the demo so you can see all of the brushes in action, and I'll see you back here right after that. So we are going to test out the Lotus series brushes. Right now I am applying the Surratt Perfectionist Primer, and then we're going to apply foundation with the fan brush. Now first I'm taking the Clé de Peau. This is the Radiant Corrector for Eyes, using the shade Ivory. And I'm just gonna put that under the eyes a little bit. I don't have a lot of product here. And on the skin, I'm going to do a 50-50 mix of the Clé de Peau Radiant foundations, the natural and the matte. So that's about a half a pump of each of those. Just gonna mix those a little bit on my hand, and I'm gonna put this on. So using the base brush from the Lotus set, okay, one of the great things about this brush is you can see how I can go under the eyes with this. The Clé de Peau concealer is, you know, not the perfect shade for me. So I do like to cover it. I use it underneath foundation and go over it. Plus, in general, I like using concealer underneath foundation because I just feel like it just blends in a little bit better. All right, so I've still got a little bit left. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish it off. Now, this foundation brush, this base brush, one of the things that's really unique about it is the fact that it's tapered. So you have like shorter bristles here going up on both sides. So it is actually pointed there. And then you can see how the ferrule comes like this. It makes it really dense here in the center, but looser on the edges, which, you know, depending on how you want to use this brush, then, you know, you can blend it in and then get a softer blend with the edges. So that I think is a really cool feature. And then another great thing to do with this is to use it for contour. So this is the Armani Neo Nude Melting Color Balm in shade 20, Cool Brown. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of product on the brush. and we're gonna go ahead and put that in. So I'm actually gonna wipe off the brush on my cloth. I have cloth on my lap, and then just kind of blend that out a little bit. And I like to kind of start with the holding it like this, so you have the narrow part going. And then once I have that basically spread out as far as I want, then I go like this to kind of buff those edges a little bit, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm just gonna take a tiny bit more and just gonna kind of feather around the edges here. I know this really technically isn't a bronzer, but there, I just think it looks a little bit smoother there. Okay, I'm just taking the Givenchy. This is the Prisma Libra powder in shade 1, and I'm just gonna set my face with this real quickly. So I'm just gonna use the master face and just getting a little bit on here. Moving on to the detail brush. This brush is a very versatile brush. You can use it for blush, you can use it for highlight, you can use it for contour, you can use it for bronzer. So I'm just gonna get a tiny bit of the Gucci, actually more than I thought, the Gucci 01, and just kind of put that right here. We're gonna put some blush on as well, but we're gonna use the cheek brush for that. And for blush, we're going to go into the Hermes in number 32 Rose Pommet. I'm going to take the cheek brush. This is like the Cheek Pro, but it is undyed goat hair. So you could use this with liquids and creams as well. Okay, so I wiped off this brush and now I'm just going to use it to kind of blend in the bronzer with the blush here, just to make sure it is evenly dispersed. All right, so you can see there's still more bronzer, obviously, back by my hairline, but it now has more of a gradient between the blush and the bronzer, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody can really tell, but to me, that's what I see. Now, I wiped off the detail brush. We're going to use this for highlight. This is the Givenchy highlighter in number 1, Shimmery Pink. So I just dabbed a little bit off of my cloth because I picked up a little bit too much at first. And there you go. All right, so moving on to eyes, we're going to start off with the worker brush from Sonia G, and I am trying out some of the Hourglass shades. This is Air, which is a matte shade. We're going to get this, and I have the Viseart eye primer on my lid, so we're just going to put this all over, blend this into the crease, just take it all the way up. All right, and then we're going to move on to the builder brush, which you can see is shorter, denser. It's a flatter brush. This is great for like metallics and shimmers. So we're going to go into the shade Fig, which is a metallic shade. And then I'm gonna take the soft definer into the shade Rye, which is a shimmer shade. And I'm going to add this a little bit to the outer corner here into the crease. So just making a little bit of a V with this. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to the builder brush and apply a little bit of this on top of the purple shade. Let's see how this goes. You can see that you get a lot of product up on this. Let's just put this on here. Just kind of putting that on top. Okay, next I'm taking the detail brush. I'm going back into the highlighter that I used, and I'm just gonna get a little bit of this on the side, put this on the inner corner, a little brightening here. And then for the lower lash line, I'm taking the detail into the Rye shade that I used before, and this on the lower lash line. All right, and just to lighten that up a little bit, I'm actually gonna go back into this like matte shade called Air with this as well and kind of go over that. So it's a little bit more pigmented than I want it. Right, and you can see I have some fallout, so I'm gonna take the detail brush. Oh, I think I was calling the other one the detail. It's a soft definer. Sorry, I'm gonna take the detail brush and brush away the fallout here. Okay, I'm just lining the upper lash line here with the new Chanel Stilo from the fall collection in Contour Graphite. And then I'm taking the soft definer and just blurring that a little bit. And I'm gonna add some mascara, finish my makeup. As you can see, all of the brushes in this set perform beautifully. Now, I did want to make a little note. I know the Hourglass eyeshadows are a very controversial shadow. I did want to try them out to see whether or not the formula is really that great, whether it's worth the money and so forth. If you want to see more about that, let me know. I'm not really sure if I want to record a video on them or not, but I did want to try them out. So I used them in the demo today. And as for the brushes, I think this set is a great set. It's $215 for the 6 brushes. And keep in mind the Fusion set, which I absolutely love, and is the mix of undyed goat hair and synthetic fibers that you find in the base brush here. That is a set of 5 brushes for $225. So just something to note there. But the handles are what's really special about these brushes. Purple is my favorite color, so I had to get them. You start from kind of this dark burgundy, goes to like a plum purple, all the way up to pink. And then you've got a little bit of white before the ferrule. And I think it's a very nice brush. Personally, for me, aesthetically, I would have preferred to see the gradation continue, including the ferrule. And what I mean by that is just, you know, since we go to white here, I'd rather have, you know, like a lighter ferrule, or I'd rather have the gradation start like darker to lighter at the bottom. So it's just like more continuous. But, you know, that's just a personal preference. So as for the actual brushes, I think they are a fantastic set. And I have to say, I've been surprised that they are still available on Beautylish. They must have had a lot of stock. And I think probably releasing the 2 sets, you know, 2 weeks apart, you know, has kind of resulted in a drop in sales for the Lotus set, would be my guess, because I mean, it's hard to purchase 2 sets back to back. It's a lot of money. So that would be my guess there. But if you haven't picked these up and you are interested in them, they are limited edition. And that's kind of where we are on that right now. Currently, no plans to sell any of the brushes individually or return, you know, these shapes in a different handle or anything. But who knows for the future. So I would love to know your thoughts on this set. Did you pick it up? If so, do you like them? So I would love to know your thoughts on this set. Are you interested in picking this up? Did you already pick it up? And what are your thoughts, if you've been using them? So please share those down below in the comment section. And again, overall, I would have to say that this set really is a great set. Very happy to have this and add these to my collection. At first, I wasn't really sure, having 3 brushes that are essentially repeats and 3 brushes that are new. I was like, do I really need these? But I knew I was going to get it anyway because of the handles. However, I have to say that I am very happy with the brushes included in this set, because if you don't have any, let's say you're looking to purchase your first Sonia G set, this is a really versatile set. You've got basically everything you could need in this set. And I really appreciate that. So personally for me, this cheek brush, I really wanted an undyed cheek pro brush. So I'm very happy to have gotten that in this set. And if I have to pick favorites, it surprised me, but the base brush is actually a favorite. It's fantastic for putting on foundation, but it's just so versatile with all of the different ways you can use it. So this is definitely a favorite. The cheek brush is definitely a favorite. And, I would then go with the detail brush. This is another favorite. It's hard to say. I really love all of the brushes, but the most unique is going to be this one. I can't really say that any of these brushes are not a favorite. I will definitely be using all of these. None of these are going to sit by the wayside. I have to say I don't use the mini booster that much. So, I wasn't sure if I'd use this that much, but because it is firmer, it really feels very soft and comfortable to use under the eye. So I think it will be a go-to brush for me. And the other 2 are just, great everyday workhorse eyeshadow brushes for me. And so Nude eye brushes are my brush of choice for my eyes usually. Even other brushes that I have, these are the ones I reach for the most. So I hope this was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I'll see you very soon. So have a great day.